Yes, yes, yes. Welcome back to another edition of Go Long Live. I am your host, Barry Long the second, not the first, not the third. We are live on today's California.com. We are live on today's Canada.com. We are live on CoachellaValley.com. You see the hat, Coachella. Shout out to Coachella Valley. Shout out to the homie that made this hat, Eddie. And we just want to thank everybody for tuning in, everybody for subscribing. Obviously, you can hear my voice. It's been a long weekend, using my voice, yelling over the loudspeaker. Just been a wonderful weekend. We had a wild card weekend. Let me bring in my main man as he is here each and every Monday through Friday, noon to noon 30. My man, Rudy Ramon Reyes. What's going on, Rudy? How was your weekend?
Hey, man, it was fantastic. I had to duck and cover from all that stuff they were throwing from the stands onto the field. And were they throwing it at the officials or were they throwing it at the players? Of course,
or are they throwing it at Mike McCarthy?
Probably, because he should be on the hot seat right about now.
Absolutely. We're going to talk about that Cowboys debacle, the choke job that the Cowboys did yesterday against the 49ers. We're going to talk about the Bengals beating the Raiders and whether Derek Carr should be sticking around as the Las Vegas Raiders quarterback. We're going to talk about the Bills destroying the Patriots, absolutely destroying the Patriots. And we're also going to talk a little bit more about the games tonight. We got a beautiful game tonight between the Rams and the Cardinals. We're going to pick those games here shortly. But let's talk about before we get to the Cowboys, let's talk about what the fans are doing, okay? This is a fight from the fans in the stands. My man tried to walk up with his hands out like he didn't just punch somebody.
I don't know what you're talking about. This is absolute garbage.
Not me.
This is not where you go. Not me. I'm not the one. Don't put the cuffs on me yet. You didn't see me throw no punch. My hand. I'm good. I'm good.
All right, that was
from dismay.
That was from inside the stadium. This is from outside the stadium. Cowboy fans, that just lost his shirt.
Is this a chick fight or something? Because I see someone. All I hear are girls. Oh, get him! Upper hook, right hook. Come on, man.
You know, there's always that woman.
Game,
there's always that woman. Like when something happens, it's like,
oh no! Stop it! This is bad. This is so bad. It's a bad reflection on the fans. It's a bad reflection on team ownership. It's a bad look all the way around. Fans need to control themselves. Control. That word control means you have to show some type of restraint over your emotional outbursts and outtakes. Keep it to yourself. Of course, that mom and dad conversation about you being able to keep things to yourself. If you can't say something nice, keep it to yourself. And right now, that's what's going on as the Dallas Cowboys are headed into a tumultuous 2022 with the draft coming up. Of course, they're in the playoff seeding, so they're going to have a little bit lower of a draft pick. I don't think they're going to go defense this time around, but I could be wrong. Be wrong.
And we all know that the 49ers were a bad matchup for the Cowboys just because of their ability to run the ball, their ability to eat up the clock. And we thought that the Cowboys would still be able to win this game, though. A lot of people picked the Cowboys, and the Cowboys just were the Cowboys. They always end up choking. They always have this fan base, excited, ramped up right before they get to the playoffs, and then boom, they lose in the playoffs. But there was a controversial finish at the end. Dak Prescott, during the 2-minute warning, the final 2-minute warning, tries to get down. The clock is running out. They have the ball back. It's about 60 seconds left, about 50 seconds left, and they're charging. They're driving. They have a great play with the little reverse pass to CeeDee Lamb, who gets out of bounds. They have another good play. They get them to the 40-yard line of the 49ers, and then they're down to 8 seconds. And Dak Prescott, I guess Kellen Moore calls a QB sweep, and Dak Prescott takes it down to the 20-yard line, slides. Cannot get the ball to the official. They cannot get the snap off before the clock hits 0. And of course, Cowboy fans are mad. They're upset. Honestly, I thought that they probably still could have got it off. It just hit 0 right before he snaps the ball. There was a lot of fans throwing stuff on the field. It was just a controversial finish, one that had people on the edge of their seats. and it ended just like all the Cowboy seasons end. So what were your thoughts on this game from the Cowboys and then on the 49ers?
It was poor play calling. You can't win a game with 14 penalties on the defensive side of the ball. That puts you in negative territory. That sets the wrong tone over 100 yards of penalties. You cannot live that. You can't play a game that way. Don't expect to get down on the field and march it when the penalties are keeping you back behind the chains every single time you commit one. This is self-inflicted. We've seen it time and time again since '95. They haven't went to a playoff game and actually won a playoff game. This just says a whole lot about horrible play calling, execution, self-discipline, and of course, what was the message at halftime? I hear Jimmy Johnson in my eardrum saying, "How about them Cowboys?" This is more about how do you win a game when you know you're behind the sticks in the first half to make the corrections in the second half by not committing the same penalties you did in the first. This is a tale of the two cities that have gone wrong between Jerry Jones and the lack of great hiring, as well as Mike McCarthy. And there's rumors around him being kicked out of the crew. And that's the Cowboy Blue Crew.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I feel bad. I feel terrible for Jerry Jones. I know Jerry Jones has a reputation of being too involved as an owner. He's always stepping on the coach's toes. It's just Jerry hasn't won in so long, and I want Jerry to get one before he passes away. That's the reality of the situation. But yeah, Mike McCarthy is on the hot seat, and for all the problems that he's had with clock management, with the before halves this whole season, all the criticism that he's taken, it seems like clock management was a kind of an issue last night too. Although it was in a different form, it was still clock management, and Mike McCarthy had the ability to overstep Kellen Moore's play call on that QB sneak, and he could have said, "No, let's take two shots from the 40-yard line and throw it at the end zone, and maybe we get a pass interference call that puts us at the 1-yard line, and we just sneak it in, and we kick an extra point, and we win. We go on to win the game." But no, clock management reared its ugly head again, and yeah, Mike McCarthy has been up and down all season. I think he's the weakest link on this team. They need to address both tackle spots on the offensive line. They've got a lot of things that they need to clean up. But ultimately, Dak has to prove that he can get he can get the job done, and he has it.
See, and I've said this time and time again, Barry, in that you have to understand situational football, and that is where Dak Prescott does not get the memo. He didn't get the email or went to his junk folder, but he has to understand situational football. Look, I don't eat spam. I don't like spam. But the bottom line is that when you look at the Dallas Cowboys, look, I'm not going to say that Mike McCarthy didn't do him justice by bringing them back from a 6-10 last year to being where they're at right now. Unfortunately, right now they're in the offseason and probably taking a trip to Cabo San Lucas like every other team that was out yesterday. Oh my gosh, give me some of that tequilas. I need a shot. But no, seriously, when you look at where they've been and where they went, reminds me of Mike McCarthy being with the Green Bay Packers, putting his hands locked onto Aaron Rodgers, saying, "You know what? We're just going to do X, Y, and Z and ABC instead of kicking. Instead of going forward on fourth down, you kick a field goal and you end up missing it." Well, you're talking about analytics. What are our chances? How do we do this? How do we do that? Well, ask Stu Staley how that worked for him when the Chargers faced the Raiders. Didn't work out too well, did it?
No. So let me ask you this question. Let's talk about Mike McCarthy. Should Mike McCarthy be fired? Because there's a lot of people calling for his job right now. And I personally, I don't like Mike McCarthy. I never thought that he fit the bill to be the Cowboys head coach. I also think that being the Cowboys head coach is such a high-profile job that most people don't look the part. When Bill Parcells was the head coach, he didn't even look the part. And he was a freaking beast as the head coach up in New York. When Jason Garrett was on the sidelines, he just looked unsure of himself. And Mike McCarthy the same way. And I don't know if Jerry Jones's aura and his just watch over the team is what makes these guys feel nervous walking on eggshells and not looking the part. But for some reason, it is a tough job, and nobody's looked like comfortable in that position since Jimmy Johnson. But would you fire Mike McCarthy? I think that they do need a new head coach. I'm not sure if I would give him another year or not. I would take this week to evaluate it. But Mike McCarthy will not be there next year, especially if they don't win in the playoffs. What would you do?
To be honest with you, I would take an overall totalitarian view of what Mike McCarthy has done, the goods and the bads. You have to look at play calling. You have to look at execution. What plays did he call in? What are the changes that he made before those calls went in? What is his relationship like with the front office? Was it like with the locker room? Does he own the locker room? Does the locker room take him over? What is his relationship with Dak Prescott? We have to ask the honest questions, the obligatory line of questioning you need to ask every single coach, every single player about what happened during the season, so that way they can effectively analyze every bit of information to make the decision in the off season. And right now, this is the off season. I don't foresee anything happening with Mike McCarthy until the very end. And I think more that Jerry Jones has been fed as much information as humanly possible to make that determination. I don't see Mike McCarthy lasting this year, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, and you also got to take into consideration how long he stuck with Jason Garrett. I mean, Jason Garrett, year after year, mediocre year after mediocre year, he continued to bring him back. But Jerry's not getting any younger. And Jerry seems like he's getting more impatient each year. And I want to see him win one. I want to see that fan base win one. Shout out to Sean McNeil. He's my best friend, Cowboy fan. He's 35 years old, and he barely remembers the first or the last Cowboys championship. And it's been a long time for that fan base. But real quick, we are going on live. I am Barry Long II. He is Rudy Reyes. And I want to, before we get into this whole Raiders, Bengals game, I want to get into the meme of the day real quick because it's relevant. This is really good, man. The internet is undefeated. This comes to us from the NFL, IG memes. Not your year. It is not your year, Cowboy fans. And they think it's their year every single year. And it is just a shame, man. Like, jump off the bandwagon, please.
Right. And not at full speed. Make sure if you do it at a stop.
Absolutely. Let's talk about these Bengals and these Raiders. That was a pretty good game. Came down to the end. Derek Carr had a chance to win the game for his team, but he continues to throw into triple coverage. We saw Derek Carr, throw 54 times. And that is really not the recipe for the Raiders to win. They need to limit the throws to at least under 40. And they need to run the ball a little bit more. They ran the ball 13 times for 83 yards with Jacobs. And if they would have gave him like 6-7 more carries, I think that they would have been able to manipulate that clock earlier in the game, and they wouldn't have to be in this situation at the end. But as it stands, Joe Burrow is a beast. He's put up 3 consecutive games against 3 tough teams where he's had a passer rating and a quarterback rating over at 130. So he is really, really good. And it's crazy to see how he's so poised in the pocket, how he makes good decisions. He's such a young player, but he plays like a savvy veteran. And he limits his mistakes against these really good teams, these really good defenses. And he's been consistent all season long. He had 2 touchdowns. And he's got this great weapon in Jamar Chase. I don't know if the Bengals can go all the way, but the Bengals are a dangerous team in this playoffs. And I was excited to see, the Bengals win. I know that we're both AFC North guys, but shout out to the Bengals, man. The Bengals fan base, they've been waiting a long time as well. What were your takeaways from the Bengals side of things?
When you look at the Bengals, Joe Burrow goes off last year. He had, a tear in his MCL, I believe. So he was out for the remainder of the season. He had no way to come back. They had to deal with a substitute quarterback. And anybody that knows AFC North football, the minute your backup quarterback comes in, that game could very well be over. Steelers know that really, really well.
Absolutely.
Bengals fans know that probably better off than Browns fans do. But of course, you can flip the script to say Browns have started 32 different quarterbacks within the last 7 years. But that's another story. So, there's a lot of great things to like about Joe Burrow. Comes out of LSU, injures himself, coming back, bigger, stronger, almost like he reinvented himself. And that's exactly what he looks like when he's in the pocket. His maturity, the timing. He's worked on so many different things in the offseason. For him to look that way against and I'm not going to say that the Raiders had a great secondary or their pass defense was all that good, because we've seen at times they've blown massive leads and ultimately end up losing games. But the Bengals just certainly found a way to win this on so many different aspects, from the defense that was crawling down their neck to the offense just making their pass coverage look like the magnetic football game with the dials underneath, and
I had one of
turn
those.
it on, and I did have one of those. I think somebody stole it, but fair enough. I mean, I think Derek Carr has seen his last days
in Las Vegas
with yeah, I do, and here's why.
Why is that?
Because the way that he's played, the mistakes that he's made through all the times, all the tumultuous situations with John Gruden being fired, to Rick Bisaccia now taking over. He did a fantastic job, by the way.
They should bring him back.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100,000%. But Derek Carr, has not been the guy that the Raiders were looking for when they drafted him. He's only had a few games where his QBR was over 110. Outside of that, had been very menial. His yards have been very inconsistent. We've seen that against the Chargers. He had 2 touchdowns, but then on the other side of the coin, when he faced the Bengals, he had 1 touchdown and 1 interception. They couldn't get the offense going. I think Derek Carr, and you're going to hear it here first. I put it on Twitter. I don't know what kind of response I'm going to get, but Derek Carr.
Are you about to bring us some news?
Derek Carr will end up being a Pittsburgh Steeler. Yes, I said it. In 2022, in the upcoming draft. Right before the draft happens, they're going to drop the bomb, and there you go. You heard it here first. That's right.
I can see that. I really like that. That is a really good hypothesis. That's a really good question.
Yeah.
We were experiencing some technical difficulties, but we're back now. But yeah, so you're saying that Derek Carr is going to be a Pittsburgh Steeler next year because Big Ben's done. They've got Dwayne Haskins, you've got Mason Rudolph, and you also got Joshua Dobbs. Okay. Those guys are not going to be able to fill the big shoes of Big Ben. So I feel like that is a really good guess. I mean, that means, heck, I can't wait to see Derek Carr in a Steelers uniform. And he needs a good defense. He does need a good defense to be successful. He was sitting on the sidelines this game against the Bengals, and on third down conversion after third down conversion, when he thinks he's about to go back in the game, nope, here comes another first down. And the defense, kind of let him down. I don't think he'll have that problem in Pittsburgh. And I like Mike Tomlin being the head coach of Derek Carr. I think they'll have a really good relationship. Man, that is an awesome prediction. We'll see what that happens. If that happens, we'll figure out something that we got to do for you, man.
Yeah.
But no, so you think the Las Vegas Raiders are absolutely done? They should move on from Derek Carr.
Well, I think that they should. I mean, he only has a year left on the contract for one. Secondly, when you look at the offensive coordinator situation, younger than Ben Roethlisberger is, whether or not Canada stays with the Steelers is another story. Of course, I'm calling for Canada's head and put somebody else in there who can actually have a conversation to grow and help mature where Derek Carr's inefficiencies are from a quarterback position and make him that much better. To allow for him to flourish, to take that next step, because we're always wondering, will Derek Carr make that next step? And as it stands right now, the way that he's been playing, and with the former Oakland Raiders, now Las Vegas Raiders, I don't see it happening. I see him coming over to Pittsburgh. They're not going to pay him any more than another bag of nachos, and it's nacho year, and maybe some incentives to get for him to be a little bit more comfortable there, understand the area, and so on and so forth. It's a reach, yes, but I foresee Derek Carr being a Steeler in 2022.
And if they decide to keep him in another year, it's a free agent. He definitely would probably go to Pittsburgh. They could definitely pitch him in. Pitch him the whole thing about the history of the franchise, about what the defense can do for you, about how many weapons they have on the outside. Najee Harris. I mean, he would be set up for success in Pittsburgh. But if I'm Las Vegas, I do not let Derek Carr walk out that door. And if you want Derek Carr, then you're going to probably have to give me Minka. You're going to have to give me, you're not going to give me TJ Watt, but you might have to give me Minka. And whether or not that's a fair trade, we'll see. But yeah, that's a really good prognostication. I like that. And it'll be interesting to see, man. But if I'm Las Vegas, Derek Carr, yes, he makes mistakes, but I'm a Ravens fan, and I saw Joe Flacco make mistakes year after year. He'll throw an interception when we're down in the red zone. He'll fumble it at the 1 yard line, and he broke my heart every single year. But that 1 year where we beat the 49ers in the Super Bowl, he went on this incredible run, this meteoric rise during the playoffs where 11 touchdowns, no interceptions. He played mistake-free football. That defense kept us in games. And I saw Joe Flacco raise the Lombardi trophy. And I'm not saying that Derek Carr is going to raise the Lombardi trophy, but what I am saying is that Derek Carr, he has the ability to get you there. He makes mistake football sometimes, but at the end of the day, if he can play mistake-free football, he can go on a run just like anybody else, like a Joe Flacco. So, Derek Carr, there's some ups and downs to it, but I think that he's a good leader, and I would stick with him if I was the Raiders. But I like your prediction, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
We are Go Long
absolutely.
Live. I am Barry Long II. He is Rudy Reyes. We are live on CoachellaValley.com. We are live on Today'sCanada.com. We are also live on CoachellaValley.com. We appreciate everybody for tuning in. Please comment. We got a comment already from Sophia. She said, yeet. I think this is a new thing that the kids are saying. Yeet.
What does that actually mean?
I have no
Am I
idea.
supposed to jump, or I mean, what am I
I
supposed to
like
do with that? I don't even
when I
know.
was younger, I used to always look at adults like they're like, oh, you're on that Facebook thing, all right, and they're just so technologically, not with the times. And I feel like as the older I get, I'm starting to turn into my parents. Like I don't know what these young people are talking about.
Yeah, I don't
All
even
right.
know what that means, but we want to hear something a little bit more functional, I guess.
Absolutely, man. So let's talk about the Bills and the Patriots. Now, this was the rubber match, and we thought that we thought that the Bills would probably take it over, and we both predicted that the Bills would win this game. No one predicted that they would win the game, 47-17,
The
and it just
basketball score.
yeah, like a high school basketball score.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, they were putting up points, just drive after drive. Josh Allen looked incredible. He looked like that MVP candidate that we had earlier in the season. I was excited for him. I was excited for that fan base. I'm sure they jumped off, like they broke tables and stuff out there in the parking lot during the tailgate. And after, I'm sure there was a party in the parking lot after they won. The Bills fan base is one that is so dedicated that, I mean, every time the team comes back from a loss after in the playoffs and they fly back into town, they are greeted at the airport by thousands of fans after a loss. And I know some fan bases, some cities do that, but don't do it as often as the Bills. And for them to get that win and be so happy and just seeing that the joy in the fans' faces, it was satisfying for me. But I feel like a game like this where your offense just goes off, 47 points. I mean, you feel like you just can't lose. You can't miss. I feel like they're primed for a letdown next week. And I don't think that the Bills are going to make it past next week. What do you think?
No, there's a lot of things that I like about Josh Allen. There's a lot of things that I enjoyed about watching that game. Of course, my inner being was really just kind of screaming at me and said, "Down with the Pats, down with the Pats." But because the Pats have done this to the Steelers multiple years, heading into AFC, championship games and so on and so forth. But one thing I really cared about was how the Bills did it, how they went and ran that ball down their throats. Josh Allen has wheels. He showed that in college. He showed that throughout his career, whether he was at Reedley College or not. Josh Allen is a guy that he shows up more often than not. I know it's going to be in Kansas City, but I don't think that even matters to Josh Allen at all. And here's why: they have a stout offensive line. They have great blocking up front. They have all the weapons that they need, from McKenzie to Diggs. I mean, they have the formula. Now Sean McDermott, all he has to do is really put it together. I interviewed Steve Tasker, former Bills wide receiver, over on the RootDogShow.com. And me and him we're talking about, where do the Bills go and correct this ship, right? How do you pick up a Buffalo and turn him around and stick him in the right direction and get him to go where you want him to go?
Turn him into wings.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they're not flying over the Mississippi, but no, when you look at the Bills, this was a shellac, 47-17. This was a Josh Allen show. He made very few mistakes with that ball. I think that the Kansas City Chiefs, because Josh Allen is so young, Patrick Mahomes is also very young, these guys are going to have a field day, and it's going to be a shootout. Make no mistake about it. This will be a shootout. But I see the Bills with a squeaker upset in Arrowhead.
Whoa.
Yes.
Okay.
That's right. 3-point swing.
Okay. Well, we were going to officially make our picks this Friday. But yeah, I'll tell you early on that I'm rocking with the Chiefs after that performance yesterday. But yeah, you're right about Josh Allen. Josh Allen is amazing. He threw 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. They ran the ball, like you said earlier, down their throat. Devin Singletary was fantastic. 16 carries for 81 yards, 2 touchdowns. Dawson Knox got in on the party. He had 2 touchdowns. I mean, it was exciting to watch them win in that fashion. But yeah, Josh Allen, I mean, next week is going to be a tough one when you walk into Arrowhead Stadium.
Well, yeah, absolutely. But think about this though, Barry. When you look at the inferior type and amount of talent that they were facing in the Patriots defense, they carved them up like a turkey.
Yeah, they did.
Look at what Kansas City did to Pittsburgh at Arrowhead yesterday. Also, very same thing. Not highly athletic guys. Some of them dropped the ball. Deontay Johnson dropped a couple. Juju Smith-Schuster dropped one. Ben Roethlisberger missing reads, ball sailing over too high. Yes, he is done. I said, thank you, Ben. Somebody started giving me a bunch of flack over saying thank you for what you've done on the football field to help lead my team to winning 2 Lombardis, but I digress.
Yeah, I mean, the Chiefs, let's talk about the Chiefs and Steelers, because that was the game that we had on last night. It was exciting to watch. In the first quarter, it seemed like it was going to be one of those lower scoring type AFC type North games. And it got out of hand after the TJ Watt scoop and score, and you guys were up 7-0. That's when the Chiefs just kind of turned it on. And there was a play at the end of that half where it was a 3rd and 20, I believe. And they were at midfield, and there was a blown coverage, and it was like 13 seconds left, and they scored a touchdown to make it 21-7 going in the half. And I felt like that was a deflator for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, because you know how explosive Patrick Mahomes and that Chiefs offense can be. And when you give up a play like that, I feel like if you go into the half 14-7, there you feel like, oh, okay, we got this. But 21-7, and just the manner of which that play unfolded and happened like that, I feel like that was like really a tell to what was coming in the second half. And we saw the Steelers, battle, but it was just Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs tonight last night. And
they were at home.
Yeah, they were, and it smelled like barbecue all throughout that stadium. And it's loud, and Arrowhead Stadium.
The KC masterpiece was on full display there.
Absolutely,
Arrowhead.
But yeah, to your point, Big Ben, I feel bad for him. I really wanted Big Ben to go out on top. Although I'm a Ravens fan, I told you this when we talked this weekend that I just felt like Big Ben is a legend, and people have disrespected him because of what we've seen the last couple of years with, he's getting older. He's not able to throw the ball down the field like he once could. It's just time for him to retire, but I wanted him to retire on top. That did not happen. But yeah, the Chiefs look really good, man. And when their offense is playing that well and their defense is playing the way that it's been playing all season long, the Chiefs, I could easily see them being in the Super Bowl as well.
Yeah, well, we're going to see. I mean, this is, and obviously tonight we're going to see that tonight between the Rams and the and the Arizona Cardinals. When the Arizona Cardinals have been this ghost of a team, they were the best initially in the NFL as far as being the team first to 10 wins. But after that, I mean, it's only a third of the season. You have to think about where the Cardinals are going to be tonight. Are their minds going to be right? Or are they going to be able to get that ball downfield? What is Kyler Murray thinking? I mean, he also has had his own share of interceptions, bad plays. It just a lot of incompletions. His wide receivers not getting in the right position. You're missing a couple of players on the offensive line. Just a basic hodgepodge of who's going to be out there versus who isn't. COVID list also taking its toll, but to very minimal extent in Arizona. But to be honest with you, the Rams on the other side of the ball, they just acquired Eric Weddle. He used to be named Eric Waddle because that's what he did prior to the injuries.
And I like that.
Yeah, I do as well. I'm not a fan of Eric Weddle.
Why not? What's wrong with Eric Weddle?
Well, there's a lot of things wrong with Eric Weddle. First of all,
he was a Raven. That's why
he was a Raven first, and the types of hits that he used to lay down would make Hines Ward's hits look like he was hitting the pillow. Instead, Weddle would take some of those cheap shots, when you didn't think that those cheap shots even existed. So, I mean, look, the Rams are stacked, but which Matthew Stafford is going to show up tonight, that remains to be seen. I'd like to think the glass is half full with his accuracy, with his thought process when holding the ball, getting out of the pocket. He obviously is not a huge pocket on the run kind of throw guy, but what he does bring is some innate talents to be able to get rid of the ball in a very untimely fashion to move the chains. And that right there, improvisation from Matthew Stafford is what you really need to have. And you get all these guys back. Cam Akers is playing on the other side of the ball. You still have Aaron Donald. I guarantee you that they're going to be in full force of being able to navigate getting to Kyler Murray early and often at times. That offensive line for Arizona has not looked all that great but they've certainly been able to hold their own over the first half of the season. So we'll see what happens tonight at SoFi.
And I'm excited to watch this game tonight. Yeah, you're right. Matthew Stafford has had some. He's great when he can improvise, but he's had some games where he just looks absolutely terrible this year. And we know that in the first couple of quarters, he's very reckless with the ball. He's one of the worst in the first quarter this season. But in the fourth quarter, he is money. So if the game doesn't get away from them, I feel like Matthew Stafford can make some plays later on in that game that will seal the deal. But yeah, he cannot be behind the chains, so to speak, going into the third and fourth quarter. He's got to maintain possession of the ball. Do not throw the ball away. Do not fumble it in the first quarter like he's been doing it. But I think that Matthew Stafford we're going to see tonight whether or not he really can be the difference on this football team, because Jared Goff would not have been able to get the job done. You got Cam Akers coming back. Odell Beckham has been big in certain key moments. I know Cooper Kupp is their number one target, but when it comes down to like the red zone, and you need to make a play, you need somebody with strong hands and somebody that can really run routes. Odell Beckham Jr. has been that guy. I mean, against the Ravens, he barely had any catches going into the fourth quarter, but that last drive, he sealed the deal with his ability to get open. So Matthew Stafford is going to be the difference in this game, in my opinion, and I am picking the Rams to win at SoFi. Who do you got?
You know what? I have the Rams. As long as he doesn't use tennis balls to say he's going to warm up his eyeballs, I think we'll be okay. I'm just saying, when you look at Matthew Stafford, he's got to play a complete game from start to finish. I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to take the Rams. All
right. And the Cardinals, if the Cardinals do have a chance to win, they're going to have to open up that passing game with that running game. We've seen that you would think that Aaron Donald and Von Miller on the same defensive line, there's nobody doing anything. You're not running, you're not passing, you're not doing anything. But no, their one weakness has been their inability to stop the run. So if the Cardinals can get the ball to James Conner enough times and they can open up that play action passing game, then I think that's their best chance to win. But if they don't run the ball, at least 50% of the time coming out of the gate, then they have no chance against this Rams team. But
sure. And last but not least, Aaron Donald and both you can have two superstars on any given line. We've seen Cam Hayward and TJ Watt do it, but you're missing other pieces of the puzzle preventing that run and those gaps from actually staying open. So if you have your front right, and you load the box, you got to be able to get into the backfield, because two guys in Von Miller, Aaron Donald, are not going to be able to cover every single run or designed run that the offense is calling. You have to have more guys involved. So if you have to disguise a blitz, do it. And I think that'll happen a lot more often than not in tonight's game.
And we'll see what Raheem Morris can draw up, because it's going to be a great game. Now, again, that is the last game of Wild Card Weekend. It is tonight on ESPN. I am excited to watch it, as you should be. And we'll talk about it tomorrow. We got real quick, Rudy, let them know where they can find you at, boss.
Now you can go to therudedogshow.com. Throw me a follow at Rude Dog Reyes on Twitter. I'm everywhere you could possibly find me. I'm easier to find than American Express card.
My man. You can find me on Twitter at Radio Barry Long. I'm on IG at Barry Long _2, Facebook at Barry Long _II. And real quick, this was the meme of the day last week.
Hey, I did not attend. I was not there. But I was watching it. Thank you to Big Ben for what he's done.
Thank you, Big Ben. Big Ben had a great career, man. He really did. And you know what? It's his time. He had a great run. And you know who also, real quick, before we let anyone go, I think Pam Oliver, you've had a great run. It's time for her to go. I can say that. Pam, get somebody else on the sidelines.
Now, mind you, Michelle Tafoya retirement as well. But because she wants to get out of it. That's why. Not because
he said Michelle Tafoya.
Yeah. Michelle Tafoya. That's right. Yeah. Great.
Pam Oliver should have retired when she got hit in the head with that football. That was when she was done. Her wig's been done for a long time. All right, I'm gonna stop. All right, we will see y'all tomorrow. Enjoy Wild Card football tonight. Stay focused, stay motivated, stay inspired, and remember, you're capable of doing anything. So go out and do it. We'll see you tomorrow. Peace.